spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
Welcome, everybody, live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Can you believe it, people? It is Monday, November 19th. Not that we're into time or even celebrate its existence, but it seems a little weird that we've only got about 6 weeks left in the year, and then 2018 is just a memory. But fortunately, the incredible amount of wisdom that was transmuted and transliterated and transubstantiated and transcend to everybody through the wisdom of Dr. Carolyn Dean is in our archives. So if you get stuck and you can't remember what to do, all you have to do is go to Dr. Carolyn Dean Live. That brings you this wonderful radio show, and type in your keyword search and bring up the topic that you're looking for and take that refresher course, because among other things, in the incredible depth of her talent, her ability, her wisdom, her foresight, her visionary prowess, her commitment to stay the line, to not capitulate. Among all those talents is this other talent called teacher. And Dr. Carolyn Dean is an amazing teacher, ladies and gentlemen. She's taught me so much. She never ceases to amaze me. And she's teaching our radio audience so much week by week, line upon line, precept upon precept, how to build your health, restore your health, starting with the basic building blocks that she refers to in her formulas, and then building on that with great nutrition, good movement, solid, common sense, very easy to apply decisions for every level and layer of health challenge. And so we're so happy to have her with us this evening and go through the rest of the year with her and years to come, knowing that she'll always be here faithfully dispensing her wisdom on Monday evening. So gather around. We don't have that anymore, do we, Bob, the image of the radio, but gather around your computer, turn up your chip body, and settle in for 2 hours of wonderful time with our very own most special and most radiant and most glorious Dr. Carolyn Dean. And here come the kids. Wait a minute, they're coming. Hold on. I know you can't speak until they're there. There they are.
Oh, they're wonderful. I love the kids as much as I love you, Ginney. Thank you so much once again for that awesome introduction. Bob loves your introductions. He wants to create a whole radio show of your introductions. And he'll make someone else do it, though.
Hey, I want to say something, Carol.
Yes.
I hear drcarolyndean.com. Mm-hmm. It's dearcarolyndean.com. Say dear.
I know. Shannon used to call me, probably still does, Carolyn Deer. Not Carolyn.
No.
Carolyn Deer. Yeah.
And she spelled Carolyn C-A-R-E.
That's right.
Carolyn
Deer. Yeah. Oh, very sweet. Oh.
This family, Ginney, our family's a Carolyn Dean cult.
Absolutely, and well, they should be. I mean, of all the people to go cultish over, I think laying your loyalties at the feet of Dr. Dean is a very good decision, and it's going to keep you very healthy and very alive and fluid. So I think it's a very good place to lay your loyalty for sure, for sure.
She makes a short list of the top 3 cults in the world.
And what's even more amazing, I don't even let it go to my head.
Yeah, she doesn't even make it go to her head. Very humble person.
She's very humble.
I'm not a godlike cult. I'm a human being.
Yeah, and she supports my cult. She deflects everybody over to body cult.
Oh, no, that's going a little too far, Bob. Back off. Okay, Bob. Mute yourself.
I just exposed her.
Yeah, mute yourself, Bob. Okay, now what's interesting is this week, if you, you should all get the email that Ginney sends out announcing the Monday show. We just have one email that comes out on that blog, and it's Holiday Detox for the Safe Natural Way. And, Ginney, what that made me think of is announcing what we're going to do in 2 weeks, not next week, but the following week on our radio show. We have a very special show, and it fits right into what you're talking about, me wanting to teach and in a sense, although hopefully the FDA isn't listening right this minute, in a sense I'm doing for our customers what I did in my practice, is constantly educating and giving information and access to remedies and recommendations to keep people healthy. So what I did in my practice, because I'm a naturopath as well as a medical doctor, I worked with a lot of homeopathic remedies, and I would tell people to keep a homeopathic kit at home. My Future Health Now encyclopedia had a whole section on homeopathy and what were the best remedies to keep. And recently, because I've been so frustrated about all the supplement companies that I used to recommend being bought out by Clorox and Nestle and Big Pharma, I've realized that I have no control over the quality of these supplements. That's partly why I've gotten into making supplements, and we're coming out with our vitamin C because people say they can't find a good food-based vitamin C. So I created one, and I can control the quality. The same with our soil-based probiotic that's coming out, Flora Revive. That's because the probiotic I was recommending is no longer available. So what we're doing in 2 weeks is having a show about homeopathy, because what people can do in the privacy of their own homes is have their first aid homeopathic remedy kit right there available. I'm finishing off writing a booklet about the homeopathy and the remedies in this kit so that you can study the different remedies, what they're good for, and heaven forbid if something should come up, you bump yourself, you wound yourself, you have a cold or flu, you feel nauseated, just all the hundreds of possible symptoms a person can have. What you're going to be able to do is remember, oh yeah, maybe I could take Nux vomica for feeling nauseous. Now that's an easy one to remember, but you can grab that remedy, you can take doses even while you may be going to the emergency room or to your doctor. And seriously, by the time you get to some sort of medical intervention, you'll probably be better because these remedies do work. But we want to cover both bases. What I've found, and actually I wrote this in the atrial fibrillation book, is I've never seen so many people going to the doctor, or especially going to the ER when they get heart palpitations. It's one of the scariest things. And I'm not saying that the homeopathic remedy is going to cure a heart palpitation. You're taking your Remac for that. But when you go to a doctor, you are 99% of the time going to end up with a prescription, even though you may not need it. It's what doctors do. They feel that the appointment is not successful unless they figured out what drug to give you. So what we're doing with this whole homeopathic initiative is we've we found a kit that can be purchased. We're going to have the kit in our store. It's going to be the same price as you'd get it elsewhere. And the originator of the kit, Mary Aspinwall, is going to be on the show to talk about it. We're also going to have a woman on the show who's initiated a homeopathic group to try to, I don't know what they think they're going to be able to do, but to try to convince the FDA that we should have access to homeopathy because it is up on the chopping block. Very, very serious innuendo against homeopathy is being advanced by the FDA under the direction of the drug companies whose main modus operandi about supplements and homeopathy is that, well, we don't want them to interfere with drugs. We don't want people taking things instead of drugs because that could be dangerous because they need their drugs. So they've somehow convinced everybody, politicians, doctors, the government, that all these non-drug therapies are dangerous. And let me run this by you, Ginney, and people who are listening and can chat in. I'm just about to write a blog about the Nuremberg Code. Now, the Nuremberg Code is that this came about after World War II, and out of the Nuremberg trials where German officers were put on trial for what they allowed to happen in the concentration camps where people were experimented on. And the Nuremberg Code, as I'm reading it here, is a set of research ethics principles for human experimentation created as a result of the Nuremberg trials at the end of the Second World War. So what I'm afraid is happening to people right now is we're being experimented on by the drugs that are continued to be given in polypharmaceutical amounts so that there is no science behind taking more than one drug at a time. And so we're all being experimented on. And what is going to happen when finally, someone who's rich enough to hire enough lawyers to sue the FDA and probably sue the drug companies for experimenting on people? What's going to happen to the doctors who are prescribing these drugs knowing full well the huge lists of side effects they have and the fatalities that they create? What's going to happen to these doctors? Are they going to be able to just say, well, they were following orders? Or are they going to ethically, as many doctors are actually, ethically remove themselves from the practice of medicine because it's become a giant drug experiment? Ginney, what do you think of my thought process at this point in our lives?
Well, I think it's, there are no ethics in capitalism. This is the dilemma that we're up against. We don't have our society is driven by our, love for capitalistic pursuits. And so, people who, are they really being given orders, or are they it's not like we're in a communist society or even a police state or anything where these people don't have free will. I think anybody who is operating in the medical model right now, even if, what the Apostle Paul said, even the things I did in ignorance and unbelief, God had mercy on me. I mean, if they're operating in ignorance and unbelief, then, there probably is a measure of mercy for them along their trail. And, we've read a lot of accounts of people who have had the awakening, Carolyn, and you read them all the time, of, doctors, like you say, who ethically, like, what about the guy who did all those cardioversions and stuff? And then oblations, and then got out of it when he realized this wasn't doing a hep's worth, bit of good. And what about people like Dr. Fung, who, was treating kidney disease and then just got so sick of it. He's like, I got to figure out how to head this diabetes off at the path. This is what, and, he could have been just, running his kidney factory like a lot of doctors do. So, we have the good fortune of being surrounded by some doctors who are very ethically driven, and yourself, of course, being a very high standard, and you've stood your ground for many, many years and refused to capitulate, and you're very intuitive because you see all the different angles. I mean, you see things I don't see, of course, but having said that, I don't know in a capitalistic society if we can hold them account legally like the Nuremberg thing. This isn't a military state. I think that, if anything, people, with the approach you're taking is the optimum approach, which is to educate people to come into their own power and take charge of their health. I mean, you're doing it the right way 100%. You're holding people accountable to themselves. They're the ones who really should be held accountable,
Right. Yes, the information is all out there. It really is. And, yeah, okay, good. Then I'm glad I voiced my concerns because, yes, it'll never come to suing the government, doctors, or drug companies for what is going on. That's just not possible. It's like I realized when I was in the health freedom movement that we can't win this battle on the large scale because there's always been a supreme ruling class, and their MO right now is for globalism, to mash the whole world down to one common denominator so that nobody rises above. And I guess the small part of me that believes in, quote, conspiracies would say, yeah, putting people on all these drugs is making them unable to, quote, rebel. So is that why drugs are so prominent? But I think it's more that they just make people a lot of money. And we have to just stand tall and individually take care of ourselves and our families. And that's what Ginney and I are doing. That's what we're doing by giving you the information. We'll unleash our homeopathic kit and start asking people to take more care of their health, get more involved. Also, I want people to study these formulas so that they're not calling our customer service all the time and asking them the same questions over and over about simple health matters that we really can't answer. Yeah, we can't. And anyone who is phoning us up could be an FDA plant who is trying to get one of my people to give them medical advice, and then we're toast. But I look forward to that day in court with the FDA so that I can make my point about how the FDA is likely criminally complicit in keeping people unhealthy. But that's revealing too much.
Well, it is. They are definitely, and what like I said, I think the best thing that can be done is what you're doing, Carolyn. You've always stood very tall and very strong for your words and your position about how people have the ultimate choice. And that is what the health freedom movement was about, is giving people the choice and empowering people. And you see where it went. It just petered out, because in order for that to happen, people really have to be responsible and take full responsibility for their health. And that was kind of part of the whole thing about the blog tonight, which is just like, if you're going to go out and party this holiday season, my gosh, life is short, have fun, but don't be irresponsible. Take your ReAline, make sure you've got your Remag, detox while you go, and sure, have a drink. Don't drink, the whole bottle type of a thing, or whatever you're going to do. But, we've got to, people got to be responsible for their health.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes, and we give people tools to do that, because there is something about the human body, mind, and spirit, where if you have something going on and you feel it's a symptom, you're going to worry about it until either you do something about it or somebody tells you not to worry. And what I'm saying about the homeopathy is, I fell and just totally bruised up my leg. Okay, I'll take some arnica. Well, then you've done something. Or you're going to put on the Remag lotion. And once you do something about it, then your mind stops focusing on the problem and creating more of a problem. So we're giving you tools. I mean, that's why some people, they'll have some really serious symptom. They'll go to the doctor or the ER and feel better when they get there, because they think these people are going to take care of them. But that whole dynamic has shifted in these past couple of decades, because people go to doctors and then they get misdiagnosed and mistreated. The major misdiagnosis, as I see it, is magnesium deficiency being misdiagnosed as over 65 different diseases. And these are the things that we're educating people about. So,
yep, absolutely.
As Ginney said, this week's blog, and we're not going to spend much more time on it, but this week's blog is about having a safe, natural holiday. And I agree with Ginney. When I travel, I was over on the East Coast just this past week at the warehouse doing videos with Ginney and the gang, and I don't hold back. I don't walk around like a stuffed shirt and avoid all the margaritas and everything. I enjoy myself, and it is because ReAline, for example, it's got the B vitamins, which are coenzymes for liver detoxification. It's got the methionine and taurine, which also support liver detoxification because they have sulfur, and the methionine is a precursor to glutathione. So we've got formulas and minerals that are very important to help everybody, actually, the building blocks of health. Is there anything more we could say about that, or will I move on to some blog? Yeah, okay.
Yes, let's move on. Yeah.
Okay, now, the last two blogs, we haven't been here for 2 weeks, so there's probably been 4 or 5 blogs, but the last two were pretty interesting. One was on protein pump inhibitors, fact or fiction. There's the protein pump inhibitors. It used to be called heartburn, and now it's GERD, and it's being treated to suppress hydrochloric acid in the stomach. But if you read this blog, and the blogs are at drcarolyndean.com, the blog talks about when you put a pH meter in the stomach of a person who has heartburn or acid reflux, the stomach is actually alkaline. And what we're doing is really beating down the acid in the stomach that's necessary for many, many functions, including digesting your food. So it's a big topic. But what I said about a Medscape article that I saw, the title of which is Adverse Effects of proton pump inhibitors, fact or fake news. Now, what I said is I find it quite offensive when medicine uses cutesy, trendy titles when writing about serious health issues. So what this article was alluding to is that there have been dozens of studies showing that these proton pump inhibitors have a lot of side effects. And this 5,000-word article went through all the studies and just tried to discredit them all. And our worst case of problematic proton pump inhibitors was with a customer who I wrote about in the free Remag booklet at drcarolyndeanlive.com and in my Magnesium Miracle 2017. Gentleman's name is Dana, and Dana's wife Lynn wrote that he was able to replace his 3 per week IV magnesium drips with Remag and improve his magnesium blood test results and his health. That was back in 2012. Even though I told Dana in 2012 that his proton pump inhibitor was draining his magnesium, it wasn't until, I have to go back, it wasn't until 2018 that his family doctor urged him to get off this drug. Now, that's because there's more evidence that these proton pump inhibitors kill your magnesium. And there's an FDA black box warning about these drugs lowering your magnesium. So finally his doctor got on board. And then it seemed like a miracle when Lynn is saying when Dana's magnesium levels went to normal after being diagnosed with hypomagnesemia in 2007. So here he was. I don't know how. Oh, yeah, he's been on a PPI since 2001. So it took him 6 years to get so sick that they actually diagnosed low magnesium, which is very hard to diagnose because they use the wrong blood tests, of course. So he was probably hypomag for many years before 2007. So anyway, there's this case, and they're saying, oh, maybe it's fake news. So according to this Medscape article, proton pump inhibitors are the most widely prescribed and overprescribed medications worldwide. In the U.S., 15% of adults have used a PPI within the last year, with even greater use in the elderly. And in customer service, we hear about them being used for infants instead of burping them. The authors make the statement that the PPIs are generally considered well-tolerated, and epidemiologic studies mining large databases have reported a panoply, P-A-N-O-P-L-Y, panoply. Bob, how do you say that word? P-A-N-O-P-L-Y. How do you say that? Panoply. Thanks, Bob. Purported serious adverse effects associated with PPIs, including chronic kidney disease, cognitive decline, myocardial infarction, stroke, bone fracture, and even death. So really, you should look at this. They list all the side effects, and then they proceed to debunk the studies, saying that since they are poorly designed, that we can't trust them. And what they say is they're just going to look at the past year of studies. Now, this raised a red flag in my brain because it's like, they could organize these studies and pay the research for doing studies that will debunk all the other studies. Very suspicious. And then they say, nevertheless, when PPIs are prescribed long-term, they should be used at the lowest effective dose and the need for their use periodically reassessed. And in one review of a 13-year period, they found that PPI prescriptions doubled, and patients were treated with higher and higher doses for longer durations than recommended by clinical guidelines. So they know it's wrong, and it's almost like legalese if they say, well, you shouldn't use them for a long term, but then they condone the use long term. They feel legally they're not going to be held accountable. So go to Dr. Carolyn Dean, read this article. If you know anyone who's on PPIs, forward this to them. It's very important. I mean, even strokes. I mean, it's just horrible to think that these drugs are causing something as serious as a stroke. So I got some feedback on that blog. Someone says, Dr. Dean, once again, you are so spot on. My gosh, can we possibly clone you? We need you in every corner of the society. Can't thank you enough. Someone else writes, I have acid reflux and took a double dose of Nexium for several years to manage the pain until I read that PPIs cause cognitive issues because they interfere with glial cell ability to manipulate pH and service neurons normally. I'm 62 years old and did experience significant brain fog. I stopped the Nexium and my brain was back to normal in a few days. With dementia so prevalent, of which my mother suffers, I wonder what long-term effects are. Well, the brain cells really do rejuvenate with the right building blocks, and it's not 7 years like I used to think. It's much shorter timing. So anyway, I reassured this gentleman. Another PPI blog response. Reading this is heartbreaking to me. Just this morning, I overheard a conversation in my local convenience store where a man from the neighborhood was telling the owner about his full-body meltdown and strife around his discomfort from meds and fears of future surgery for his AFib. I took the liberty to interrupt his conversation and bring up your wealth of information and products. He had read your book. He said he currently uses some magnesium sprays with some benefit. Of course, I implored him to explore the depths of your advice and protocols to help himself further. I can't stand to see us in pain and despair around our medical care and lack thereof. And she said, writing this gives me an opportunity to thank you for being there in this great medical wilderness. You and your team steadfastly pronouncing truth for those of us who are blessed to get in ear's reach. I'm very new to your information and products. My own situation is a laundry list of symptoms and conditions, which includes diagnosed autoimmune condition. My most urgent concern was long-term chronic insomnia with resulting panic and depression, et cetera, et cetera. So she said she's only 10 days into working with us, and she said, I can already say the trust is immense. I feel I've been blessed by an open window into my own soul of healing that will not fail me this time. I'm so hopeful and grateful. Awesome. So that was very sweet. I mean, someone who just dives right in to try to help someone at the local convenience store. And the future of medicine. So the next blog behind this one, let me see if I can find the list. The future of medicine. Bob really liked this one. The future of medicine is unfortunately in the hands of big pharma. It's got nothing to do with patients anymore, or even doctors for that matter. I think most doctors, when they go into medicine, want to keep their patients healthy. But what they end up doing after years of studying drugs is become drug pushers. So, you know the scenario. I go on about this and about the 7-minute appointments and reference a Monty Python dead parrot sketch, that like the parrot being dead, medicine is dead. We are in an ex-medical system, and opioids are the new scapegoat for the common practice of overprescribing all drugs. And the solution is to try to find a safer opioid rather than using well-absorbed magnesium, chiropractic, and massage as solutions. And I talk about the new medical technology consists of turning diagnosis and treatment over to artificial intelligence, AIs. And once again, I end my blog with a warning that you better take care of your own health because nobody else will. And the people that wrote back on this, one person says, I just wanted to mention that I recently went through a horrendous experience at the University of Washington Medical Center. The level of care received was absolutely abysmal. And this was from what would possibly be considered one of the top medical facilities on the west coast of the U.S. I can see that this borders on the criminal. No compassion, but coldness in approach all around. And they do and are disabling and killing people. I mention it because I can now even more than ever agree with the work that you are doing. Not only is it great, it is necessary. And she goes on about the bureaucracy of the present system. And there are, she says, a few intelligent and caring physicians on board, but they are also slaves to the system and cannot do much of anything. So, yes, that gentleman, he expresses what I'm saying and what a lot of people are saying about the business of medicine. Someone else says you're spot on in your characterization of the state of medicine as it now exists. This person, I don't know if it's male or female, talked about the Paul Marik protocol for sepsis, which should now be standard practice but gets pushback from doctors and interns. Now, what this is, it's using intravenous vitamin C and some steroids and having incredible results with blood infections. But, of course, doctors not having studied this in medical school, they're just so fearful of trying anything different. And the future of medicine. I'm type 2 diabetic, recently went to a new endocrinologist. She never got up from behind her desk, never checked my feet, etc., because the feet can develop poor circulation and even gangrene. I asked her several questions. She referred me to my general practitioner for answers. 10 minutes later, I was billed $175. This is just another example of what you were saying in today's blog. And I feel the same way and try to advise my patients in alternative treatment. So this is a doctor. My cousin's son graduated med school last May, and it's become so disillusioned he's going into neurological research with his father. So yes, we're all just kind of standing around in shock about what's happened with no one being in a position to do anything about it. It seems on the grand scale. So that's where we just try to take care of ourselves and our family, which is what we're working on. So, Ginney, that's it. I do have other testimonials, but that's oh my, look at the time. That's enough for now. That's enough for me.
That's cute. Okay, everybody, welcome. Let me just remind everybody, and we want to welcome Grant to the show. He's been a long-time customer, a very good friend of ours, and we're so glad that he was finally able to tune into the show this evening. And I think he's typed into the chat room. We've got a couple comments on the things that you were talking about. Lana typed in and said, people have blind faith in the medical system. It's so sad. It is so sad. Marie says, I think money has a lot to do with it. There are a lot of educated people who want to take charge of their health, but unfortunately, unless you have a lot of cash, you have no choice but to go through medical insurance. So that's a good point, Carolyn. I mean, people think it's less expensive to go to the doctor because they don't have to come out of pocket for their insurance, or like $25 copay or whatever. What do you think about that?
Well, since I was forced by Obamacare to buy insurance, my copay was $25, then $50, now it's $75. So, blow that off. You go to your doctor with a chronic condition maybe once a month. You could be buying several bottles of ReMag instead. So, yeah, it comes back to us having the solutions.
Very good. Grant typed in and said, taking our minds off what is causing the stress. Sore back, sedentary lifestyle. One of the answers to my situation. Okay, very good. I have a question, though. There does not seem to be much in terms of dosage in the ReAline. Is that because the usual marketed products have so many fillers, or is it the body doesn't require as much of each vitamin as we've been taught in the past? Case in point, the amount of dosage the late Dr. Abraham Hoffer used to take. So I think he's referring to...
Yeah, that's a great question. And I suppose I talk about it somewhere, but all the B vitamins are methylated or food-based, and therefore they're really well absorbed at the low physiological levels that the body uses. What happened when they started to use synthetic B vitamins is they weren't working. So they used higher and higher and higher and higher dosages to force a reaction. A natural substance will have a certain conformation and a certain rotation, and a synthetic substance will have the opposite rotation. So it's like a lock and key that's really not working, but you can force the lock with the synthetic and get some sort of reaction. So, and I knew Hoffer. I was fortunate enough to meet him, and he was using medicinal doses of niacin, especially for schizophrenia, using high-dose vitamin C, which was just ascorbic acid, and it produced changes, but they're medicinal doses, and everybody gets the sense that you need higher and higher amounts, but it's because they're synthetic. So ours work even better than the high-dose synthetics because they're low-potency natural, and the dosage will also save us from the attacks by the FDA that are bound to come to get high-dose supplements off the market because they're being demonized, and supplements will only be prescribed by doctors in the future in higher doses than the RDA doses that we use. So there.
Case in point also is our vitamin C, our whole C product, which we will have in the warehouse before the end of the year, hopefully. We're keeping our fingers crossed, guys, because it's absolutely amazing. And boy, did everybody get a kick off of that or what? I mean, just a nice boost, energy boost, good performance.
Mm-hmm. Right, and it's a good dosage, too. We actually were able to stuff enough food into each capsule to have a 250 milligram capsule. So people can take their 2 to 4 a day and feel that they're really, as Ginney says, boosting the body. So we're very fortunate that we have control over our raw materials and our products.
Yeah, very, very good. Excellent. Barbara typed in, she said, years ago I was prescribed an antidepressant. When it caused stomach pain, I was told to stay on medication and then also take Prilosec. I refused. I'm so glad to find your products, which have been very helpful. Thank you again so much.
Yeah, perfect. Yes, that's the Prilosec, I think in the PPI blog, I didn't read every word. I talked about how they the doctors who wrote the article really pushed the fact that they really wanted people to take this PPI drug for things like other drugs that cause stomach upset. So it's just like, is it Barbara who said that? It's exactly like, well, it's the polypharmacy that I'm so concerned about. But anyway, yes, thank you, Barbara.
Okay. Marie typed back in and she said, my premium is $150 a month on Obamacare, but still needed, that is the cost I am referring, the cost I am referring to, not the occasional office visit copay. So she's talking about $150 a month. I use all your products, but you still need insurance for emergencies, broken bones. Most good doctors aren't Obamacare anymore anyway. So she's talking about her monthly premium.
Right. Yeah. Well, she's lucky. I mean, I'm paying, for Bob and I'm paying like $1,600 a month. So I don't know how she's getting $150 a month. Yeah, I know. It's so funny. Well, we could talk about Obamacare for here till the cows come home, but our private premiums for our family is, I can't even mention the number on the radio. I think it would send too many of our customers into heart attack. It's ridiculous. Okay, and then Grant typed in and said that Dr. Hoffer was his psychiatric doctor for some time. I wonder what your products would have done for him if he had access to those in his day. Very cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is very hard to say because he helped so many people. It was astounding what he was able to do, and it never caught on across the board. But we have continued, in a sense, supporting his work by recommending the True Hope products, Empower Plus, because I can't even assume or attempt that I can treat depression or schizophrenia over the radio. So we tell people to take our baseline products and add the Empower Plus, which is basically high dose vitamins and minerals. So yes.
Yep.
Thank you, Grant.
Very good. Thank you, Grant. Okay. Marie says, I have the premium plus the products I buy from you guys, which are great, but it all adds up, and so now I'm poor. Oh, Marie says, I'm poor. My premium is based on income. Oh, that's sweet. Marie, you're wealthy. You're rich in good health and good friends. That's the riches we talk about. Yeah. All right, let's see. Does anybody have a question or comment for Dr. Dean? 602-666-6027 is the phone number to call in tonight. And if you do want to talk to her, you've got to hit *5 on your keypad. *5 will raise your hand and let me know that you are on hold for her. Otherwise, your phone remains on mute and we can't hear you and you don't get to talk to Dr. Dean. So again, 602-666-6027. And we'll take phone calls now into the next hour. So far, nobody raising their hand here, Carolyn. And so we will press on.
We'll press on. Here's a Facebook testimonial. A gentleman says, I have had quite a number of operations over the past 20 years. Now, as soon as I hear that, I start thinking, oh, okay, inhaled anesthetics. Most of them are fluoride-based. You just look these up if you come across them. I read medical. When I'm not reading medicine, I read medical novels, and I get to hear the names of drugs, and I'll look them up. And I used to think there is an inhaled anesthetic that we've talked a lot about, and I thought, well, maybe that's the only one. But it turns out several of them. Yeah, desflurane we talked about. I think it's got 6 fluoride molecules. And there's also isoflurane and sevoflurane. You hear the fluorine in there. And it's because the fluoride molecule allows the whole drug to penetrate the blood lipid barrier, or the lipid barrier into the cells. It makes it more powerful, but it also makes it more toxic. So when I hear about a number of operations, right away I'm thinking, the fluoride from these drugs is going to bind the magnesium and make a person magnesium deficient. If you've never been well since a surgery or surgeries, then you have to think of magnesium deficiency. And he says, and ever since then I start getting AFib, not really knowing what this was, and it started to worsen as the years went by. About a year and a half ago, I came across the Magnesium Miracle on Amazon, started reading it. Everything became so clear to me that a lot of these symptoms that I had can be helped by taking ReMag sea salt in water. Ordered ReMag Remide. Needless to say, I have never had an episode of AFib since. I ordered the ReMag lotion for my wife, and she's on her second bottle, and her results are improving with her sore joints. The doctors couldn't help me with my AFib. They put me on three metropropol a day. That's a beta blocker. And I felt terrible. And every time I had an episode of AFib, I ended up in the hospital. Thank God I came across this book and started the ReMag Remite, and also a big thank you to Dr. Carolyn Dean for changing my life around for the better. I stopped taking the metoprolol 3 months after I started taking ReMag. That's exactly right. I mean, he was listening and knew that we tell people not to stop their drugs but get better while they're still on the drugs. I mean, obviously the drugs aren't helping, but we just don't want to shake things up. I don't take any meds at all. My blood pressure is perfect, and all results from blood work are normal. I just came back from a bus tour to Nashville and Branson, 6,800-kilometer trip that was on my bucket list for years that I couldn't go on account of AFib. Thanks again, Dr. Dean. Isn't that sweet? That's a yay. That's a yay, Ginney.
I'm sorry. I'm far away from the yay button. Hold on.
Ginney's wandering around, multitasking, I'm sure.
I am multitasking. Wait, here we go.
Yes, very good. And, yeah, more about AFib. I don't know where this came from. Oh, through customer service. I ordered ReMag as I have a chronic AFib condition that has persisted over a 23-year period. I've gone through all the fixes, cardioversion, ablation, and drugs to no avail. Since beginning the ReMag, I have more energy, and my daily ECG is starting to show a better QRS wave depiction. So this is someone who knows their medicine. So her cardiogram is showing better. It looks better. I will continue with ReMag and stay in touch. My cardiologist seems in the dark about the use and benefits of magnesium for the heart. I'm working on exposing him to the benefits. So that was wonderful. And I said back to this person, please read my AFib book to see how you can incorporate Remite and other nutrients to help overcome the electrical imbalance. Yeah, and you know, what's interesting is when you read medical protocols, they talk about managing a condition or treating symptoms. They really never talk about curing a condition. And we're not saying we're curing any conditions here. All we're doing is giving people enough magnesium to get over their magnesium deficiency. Here's one about osteoporosis. A woman says, I just want Dr. Dean to know that my latest bone density scan taken a month ago showed no bone loss. The previous scans taken 4 years ago and 2 years ago showed a loss of height from 65 inches to 63.3 inches. My primary care said that I have no evidence of osteoporosis. The main difference is my bottle daily of ReMag and Remite in about an eighth a teaspoon of sea salted water. I've been drinking it for about 8 or 9 months. So that's beautiful. And another one about dental work, forgot to mention about remineralization of my teeth. 2 teeth I wore out over time, a groove line at the gums due to rough brushing, upped my Remag from 300 milligrams to 600, and Remite. And in a space of less than 2 months, I noticed the teeth were no longer sensitive, and the groove lines at the top of my 2 teeth were gone, and the teeth now seem thicker. So there, he's saying like I do. Also, I'd like to mention that your formula should be used on people in recovery phase of major illnesses, cancer, in the elderly. Your main products are underutilized and unknown by the medical profession, and I know that. But as I heard you say on today's show, so that must have been a couple weeks ago, doctors are terrified of something they don't know about and didn't learn in medical school. So it's a huge learning curve for them, and they usually don't bother. Oh, yes, and then he says, I don't know much about your crew, but your husband Bob seems quite remarkable. And he says, keep fit, young man. Yeah. And he puts the yay. He pretends to have a yay button.
That's cute.
Yeah. And we're at the top of the hour, so I can stop here.
Okay, Marie typed in and says, I've listened to you guys for years. I love your products and all the good you do for people, but I'm disappointed in your response regarding my premium. That's not very empathetic at all. Not all of us have a high income. I am not lucky. So sorry if you took that the wrong way, Marie. I'm not saying you're lucky because you're poor, and I don't even know that you are poor. It's just what you said. I'm just saying you are very lucky in your health and in the good friends that you have, and we're including ourselves in being your friend. That's what I meant to say. I'm sorry if that came off the wrong way. We're at the top of the hour. We will be back soon with Dr. Carolyn Dean, Hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean. Be right back.
Carolyn Dean, along with host Ginney Gunther, after this brief station break. You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is achieveradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/achieveradio.
Think of something you hadn't had in a while, like a crazy Italian cream cake, and have it show up, and you not do a thing. You already think of people, and they ring you on the phone now, don't they? Well, reinforce that. And what you'll find then, very quickly, is that there'll be a little cadence. Now, that's a fun way of describing frequency. We call it frequency. And if you frequently get your frequency on, that'll help you in the aligning of frequency. Remember in the old days in the radio, you'd be driving along, and you'd have to have the knob, and you'd turn it to get it right on station so it'd be clear? Well, you were adjusting your tuner to pick up on that frequency completely. It made no difference how loud the volume was. You get it right on the station, get it right up, and then you could crank it up, and you can have it just as loud as you can stand it. But the easier way to go at this is focus on the frequency of your frequency, and then you'll notice a rhythm or a cadence. And then the rhythm or the cadence will allow you to easily identify and connect with that frequency, or allow your tuner to more easily hit the nail on the head.
AchieveRadio.com. The future is now.
Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. Here we go now. Here we go now. The wellness scene with Dr. D. Here we go now. Here we go now. Go to the Carolyn. The wellness scene with Dr. D.
Welcome, everybody. Hour 2, Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Heading up toward Thanksgiving and then the year-end slide that happens in the United States for sure. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas, it just seems like the world kind of shuts itself off and does its own thing. But we're going to be here hanging out with you. And, of course, as Carolyn mentioned, lots of good shows and great guests coming up in the weeks to come before we end the year. So, Carolyn, we're into hour 2. What say ye now?
Well, you've started this trend about going to the chat, and I'd never checked into the chat, so I'm back. I'm looking at it myself, and let's look at what Dave P. says. He says, I just bought a dozen Remags, currently taking 2 to 2.5 teaspoons a day. Is more better, up to what bowels can tolerate? His RBC is 5.2. It's a matter of looking at your symptoms, your magnesium deficiency symptoms. It was, quote, easy for me because I'd get heart palpitations and really bad leg cramps without enough magnesium. So I knew that I needed to take more and more until they were gone and that they didn't come back if I missed a dose or two. So for me, and it doesn't even matter about weight, I'm 107 pounds, so I needed the 4 teaspoons to saturate myself, and even that took me a year and a half. So it is bobbing and weaving, see how you feel, spread it out over the day. And in terms of up to what bowels can tolerate, I was able to tolerate 4 teaspoons for a year and a half, I've said various things over the years. I cut back to 3 after about a year. I was able to cut back when I took Remite. And my bowels did not get upset until I was saturated, so that at this point in time, if I take 2.5, 3 teaspoons, I'd get the laxative effect. I did go up to 2 teaspoons while I was traveling because of the stress of traveling. So I'm always adjusting, and I do use the laxative effect right now as my cue to cut back. RBC of 5.2, yeah, the RBC is a guide, but it's not the perfect measure of magnesium in the body. It is just the magnesium in your red blood cells, and as I've said before, the red blood cells don't even have mitochondria. There are 1,000 to 2,000 mitochondria in the tissue cells, in the cells of your organs and muscles, etc. There are 1,000 to 2,000 mitochondria. It's in the mitochondria where in the process of making ATP energy, you need magnesium in 6 out of the 8 steps. So magnesium is high in the cells of the body, not in the RBC cells. So I don't know how it got to be the definitive test for magnesium because it's not really appropriate. But it's just there. It's easy to get. It's like the guy who's looking for his lost car keys under a lamppost with the light on because he dropped them in the shadows and he can't see over there. So they're just using what's convenient. Right back in, Dave, if you have more questions about that. Okay. Ginney.
Okay, very good. And let's take a phone call. Let's go out to the great state of New Mexico, area code 505. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, Ginney and Carolyn. This is Graham.
Oh, hi, Graham. Hi.
How you doing?
What are you doing in New Mexico?
A lot of just hanging out. But okay. I have something to run by you that's got me a bit freaked out.
Okay.
Okay. In October, I went to my annual primary care visit at the VA, right?
Yeah.
And as usual, it's a different doctor every time. It's these young doctors that are on rotation, I guess, just out of school.
Yeah.
I know I'd mentioned to you before when I called in about the synovitis I was experiencing in my right knee.
Yeah, I have a note on that. Uh-huh.
And one of the things that I was experiencing was when I try to walk like around 4 blocks or more, I get a discomfort in the back upper part of my left leg. And when I try my I always thought because I'm right-handed, the knee was I could put on the side that it was shifting something over to the left side.
You're breaking up a lot, so I'm not quite catching the intricacies of this. So let me just to say, you have the synovitis on the right, but you have the pain on the left?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I was discussing this. The doctor brought up the issue of my knee and was talking about what I could do about it. And I explained to her about discomfort on the left side. That's her to...
Lost you.
Okay, so the doctor, when I explained to her about what was the feeling on the left side, she wanted me to have these tests done. Did you get that?
I did. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I've had a blood test. And it said your screening.
It's really hard. You're blipping out every half sentence. I'm going to ask you to call back in and see if we can get a better connection because I need to hear this. Okay?
Okay, I'll call back then.
Okay, Graham. Okay, Ginney. Where are you? Hello, Ginney. Maybe my phone is the problem. Okay, I'm looking at chat. Somebody tell me if they can hear me. Please tell me if you can hear me.
You're fine, Carolyn. Ginney dropped off the line.
I'm fine, says Bill. Okay, good. I'll wait for Ginney to show up. I don't know, maybe there's some interference between here and there. And Marie, thank you for your last chat. Yes, rich in friends and family and life. Well, you know, what we often say, and I don't know your age or your circumstances or your ability to work or all, but we often do say to people, and people say back to us, that they do feel healthier on the products, and they're either able to work more or, do more. So, that's something that we do hear, and we do know that people on the products have to take less drugs. Thanks, Belinda. Take less drugs, certainly less supplements, and don't seem to have the desire for alcohols or coffee or cigarettes. So we've had testimonials from people all along that they do feel that being on the products is actually saving them money. But the whole health insurance is so out of balance. I remember thinking about Benjamin Franklin, who started the first general hospitals, and about some of the founding fathers, at least, who thought that health care should be covered. But you see, when health care has been subsumed by drug care, then how can you justify free care, which is just giving people drugs, which makes them sicker? It's really off center. And when I was at Health Freedom conferences, people would say, well, I need health insurance because I can't afford it. And not, I mean, they acknowledge, yes, I know it's drug health care, but I always say use your health care for diagnosis and then do something more natural. And the homeopathy is going to help. I mean, this homeopathic kit that we're offering, it's under $70. It's got 36 remedies, I think, and so it's only a couple of dollars a remedy. And you can be treating yourself instead of thinking you have to go and get a doctor's appointment with a copay and then pay for a prescription.
Right. I never had health insurance until 2 years ago when I was forced to get it through some circumstances that I was in. I've never had it. I never wanted it. And I was a pastor for many years, and, I prayed for people and they got healed. Well, I've never been in a situation where I've been an advocate for the medical model, and now, working with you. So, for me, I think it's terrible that it's something that's being forced on people, because I don't prefer it. It's not my choice. It's not what I want. But, it's what you're stuck with, and then you're shelling out a lot of money, to have to be in that system, and it's not required. So anyway, all right.
It's like let me just finish it up with the business model of medicine is that I'm sure they realize that when you go in for an appointment, they'll start you on a whole lineup of investigations. They're always phoning me here to get a mammogram, which I never have had. I do thermograms, if anything, or to do the stool testing, or they're constantly barraging you, and then if you go in and end up with a drug, then you have to come back and get blood tests to make sure the drug is either working or not hurting you, and because it is going to cause side effects, you're going to be on another drug. So they've got a system that keeps people coming back, and that's why healthcare costs are so horribly out of line with health.
Hey, Carolyn, so can you say that if you're healthy, you don't need health insurance, or should you be paranoid and have the health insurance for that big surgery because you get your leg amputated in an accident or something?
Yeah, you want catastrophic insurance. You do.
They should call it that. They should have catastrophic insurance and not daily checkup insurance. Oh,
they
really?
Do, Bob. Yeah, they do.
Okay, so just get catastrophic insurance. Because it's not working. You see Carolyn's latest blog, she says, well, there's not even medicine anymore. There's no purpose for doctors. It's that bad, people. So get out of it as much as you can. Don't rely on it.
But see, we're doing it step by step, Bob. People have got the products now. We've got everything pretty much covered. Once we get our probiotic and vitamin C, then we're doing the homeopathy so people can have their kid. It's like we're trying to cover all the bases because nobody else is. So people will feel more comfortable taking care of their own health, doing the homeopathy, and having something on hand to use. So
that's what I start off saying. A sign of health is that you're not doing health insurance. When you get to that point, you're pretty healthy when you can trust Dr. Dean and Bob and Ginney and not have to have that monthly expense. That's what you're working towards.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's very liberating. Yeah, it is very liberating. And we're not saying to be irresponsible. Everybody has to make their own choices. We're just offering up options. It's just an option, to people to know, hey, somebody's done this. In other words, nobody could run the 4-minute mile till the first guy ran the 4-minute mile. Now everybody runs a 4-minute mile, and it's no big deal. Some things you have to hit a threshold of people who are willing to say, I took this stand, I made this stand for myself, and I enrolled other people in the possibility, and now there's millions of people who are living this way. You see it with the keto diet. People are treating their diabetes. You see it with the sugar thing now. People are really on to sugar. Carolyn was the first person who got sacrificed at the altar of sugar back in the 90s. Now nobody would even think of questioning her and her recommendation against using processed sugar, especially if you have a health condition. But, people have to be willing to take that stand, to be risky, and to put it out there and say, hey, I did this with a positive consequence for me. It worked out for me. It may not work out for you. And we're just saying, there's all kinds of options, and we're providing what we think is best for everybody and giving you ideas about what else might be possible. And that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Carolyn, we're going to go back to Graham because he's on the phone, and also you got a message from Melanie Collum. She said you go way back to Toronto in the 80s. So she's listening tonight. Hello, Melanie.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, my gosh, the Collums, of course. Hi, Melanie. That's wonderful. Email me.
Email me. Email at support, SUPPORT, at RNAreset.com, and just put personal to Carolyn in the subject line, and customer service will get it to her, and you'll be able to correspond. All right, very good. Let's see. Marie says, here goes Marie. Bob, you are wrong. I'm very healthy, but I broke my leg skiing, and without health insurance, it costs a fortune to go to emergency. I'm not talking about us if we are healthy. Okay, very good. Catastrophic insurance. Excellent. That's what we were talking about, Marie. Yes, it's always good to have catastrophic insurance, and breaking your leg skiing is definitely a catastrophic issue. Okay, excellent. Let's go back to our dear friend out there in New Mexico. Are you here, love? Is your phone working properly, Neil? Hello?
Hello?
Okay, let's go ahead.
Okay, Carolyn, I want to read the results, the summary. You were negative for HIV. You're screening for diabetes at a higher risk for developing diabetes in the future. Count normal. Did that come across all right?
I heard negative HIV, diabetes, high risk for developing in the future, and I missed the third thing.
Your blood counts, electrolytes.
I think what you're going to have to do, Graham, is email this in to support@rnareset.com, and customer service can send this to me because we're not communicating properly.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. I don't want to say something off the cuff and not have the proper information, and put down your age and relevant stuff as well. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Graham. Thanks for your patience.
You started it, Carol. You said you're in New Mexico?
I cut him right off. I know, and Graham's always been in New Mexico from my notes here. Okay, Graham, we'll get an email from you, and we will truck on. Okay.
Okay, excellent. Let's go out to a great state of Iowa, area code 641. 641, you're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question and comment.
My name is Phyllis.
Go ahead, Phyllis.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay. I called in probably little less than a month ago. I have AFib, and I had a high heart rate, and I got that down, and I went for cataract surgery. You told me just, not to worry about it and go for cataract surgery. But anyway, when I went for my pre-op for the cataract surgery, and I had it, and my eye is really, it's amazing. That part I'm really thankful for. But when I went for my pre-op, they did a blood test, and it is a spectrum. They take and check you for nutrients, vitamins, those things that you lack. And I'm borderline on several different things. One of them is I'm fructose sensitive, so I have a new disease, I guess. I don't know. I've never heard of such, and I got online, and it kind of bothered me because there's fructose in so many things. But my magnesium, according to the report that I got back, is 53, and I don't understand what that means. My question is, does the magnesium, do I need the magnesium or in the fructose?
Well, I wouldn't know because I don't know this test. 53 is not a number that I equate with serum magnesium or RBC magnesium. So is this an alternative medicine doctor where they're using some sort of nutritional lab?
They do. This clinic does offer supplements too that you can take, although they haven't really prescribed that for me with the AFib. I'm on medication. I think the 53. I think the numbers on there are. They compare you with healthy people, and so this is like a percent. And
right. But you got to think of it this way, Phyllis. There are no healthy people anymore. They're just comparing unhealthy people to unhealthy people and kind of making it up as they go along. And what I'd rather do is get people to understand how they're feeling and what their symptoms may relate to in terms of how I talk about AFib, finding out if taking the ReMag is helping the AFib. Now, I know when we talked before, and I have the notes on that, you had the AFib, you're on some meds, then you had to go for this cataract surgery. That's a lot of stress. That will use up a lot of magnesium. And having your blood done in the midst of all that stress, I tell people, it's the worst time to have your blood done because it's not indicative of who you are on a daily basis. It's you under stress. And then they make, judgments. If they recommend magnesium, it won't be the right one because they're not absorbed like ReMag. And the whole fructose sensitivity, that started to come to the fore. I've talked about it a lot. Make a note to look at Dr. Lustig's, Lustig. Look up his video on sugar, the bitter truth. And he's the one that sort of pulled the plug on fructose, how it's been overused in high fructose corn syrups, and it is hard to metabolize. I mean, that's not a lie. But this business about fructose sensitivity, I really haven't heard much about that. But I'm looking up, and SpectraCell does this test, and it's saying humans in general have a limited ability to metabolize fructose. And what I know is it takes twice the magnesium to metabolize fructose. When I started living here in Maui, I started ODing on fruit and gained weight. And I know Dr. Mercola has said in the past when he went on a high fruit diet, his triglycerides went through the roof. So fruit is supposed to be used as a nutrient source of minerals and vitamins, yes, but that's been farmed out of the soil. But it's something to eat in season, not every day like we do, et cetera, et cetera. So humans have a limited ability to metabolize fructose. You're a human. It doesn't mean you're any different than anybody else. So what they're doing is just taking what we know and making a big deal of it and just scaring you a little, and it's not necessary. That's why I don't like tests. It's like, what is it, create the disease and offer the cure. They've just, started lining up, you got this problem, that problem, and that's what I say about the genetic testing too. But I think I'm going to get the health genetic testing and really see if people start asking me about it and whether or not they should get it. Maybe there's a way you can do testing and not get too freaked out. So anyway, I ranted. Tell me what you think, Phyllis.
Well, it kind of bothered me I wish I wouldn't have taken the test, after I took it, because here my magnesium, according to the test, is fine. The doctor just told me to stay away from concentrated fruit juices, but then when I got online, vegetables have fructose in them, and fruits, and and I thought, oh my goodness, am I going to just be down to eating meat and dairy and
well, that's the thing. Here's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that 1 to 2 pieces of fruit a day are just fine. The berries are low carb. Berries are low carbohydrate, so they're the best fruit. Apples are less high in sugar, so just be moderate. It's like they are taking a normal human metabolic quote problem and making you feel really bad about it. It's perhaps it could be said that we're just not meant to deal with a lot of fruit because it wasn't around. It was around in the tropics, I suppose you could say, and maybe those folks are better at metabolizing it. But it's just be moderate about everything. And in terms of saying your magnesium is quote normal, well, if it's a range of 1 to 100 and you're 53, you're dead center of all the people who've had this test, and you're all low. You know how I say, in order to get enough magnesium, you want to be up in the 80s. You want to be as healthy as possible and have as much magnesium on board as possible. You don't want to be average like the average person who is low in magnesium because it's not in the diet anymore. Right.
Well, I have the symptoms I have is I get Charlie horses and leg cramps. And even the bottom of my foot, will cramp up. It'll just cramp. My eye will twitch, and plus I have AFib. So to my way of thinking, I'm magnesium deficient just by the symptoms I have. So, correct, and that's what I tell people. You have to go by how you feel, not how a blood test is telling you. A minute ago when I was talking about the RBC magnesium, it's not even the right test, even if they do that. And they're not. It doesn't seem like they're telling you what test they're using. And I've seen some of these test results. They just average. They give you it's like a little graph, and they put the little diamond in the middle or at the top or the bottom of a line. So it's it's really not scientific enough, and they may be just saying, well, we got to have something, a test to show people to get them to take their nutrients. And to my mind, these two things you've mentioned, the fructose and the magnesium, they've just got you all stirred up. Right. So they do. So how much ReMag are you taking, Phyllis? I went from an eighth up to a fourth, and it hasn't affected so I'm going to increase it up to a half a teaspoon here, maybe in a couple of days. Sure. Yeah, just go slowly, because a whole teaspoon is not even the RDA that a person needs just to survive. So you'll just slowly go up. Just keep reading my materials, listen to the radio show, get yourself all excited about getting healthier, and try not to listen to too many other people. Okay? Okay, that sounds like good advice. Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks, Phyllis, and thank you for phoning in. I know you're feeling in a stressed place, and we're definitely here to try to support you and help you. Okay? Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, Phyllis. You're welcome. Bye-bye. Bye.
Hey, Carolyn. That's a pretty extraordinary statement. I don't know if I've ever heard it before. There are no healthy people anymore.
Right.
Okay, now that's interesting in light of the deficiencies, the mineral deficiencies. But isn't that the policy of the establishment medicine? They're assuming that nobody's healthy so they can test and find a problem and give you something.
Right.
They're operating on the same idea, but on the other side of the mirror.
Yes, but the who Phyllis went to was sort of a health clinic that wants to do nutritional testing and help people, we presume, but yeah, they're taking their blood tests and measuring them compared to everybody else and implying that the numbers equate to good levels or optimum levels, not they're just doing average levels, and the average person is sick. So yeah, everybody's just sort of making it up as they go along.
So we can't test for a healthy person.
I don't think so.
Yeah, like what would it be? Oh, you're really healthy because all these tests show that. Mm-hmm. That's probably not possible, so we don't even have a standard of what we're working towards.
Right. Except, as Ginney and I say when we're together, we look at Ginney's staff and all the people around us, they just glow. Everybody's glowing and smiling and happy and just feeling healthy. So you should know within yourself, when you start singing the song, who did that song, I'm the happiest person in the whole USA?
I don't know it.
That's Donna Fargo. I'm the happiest girl in the whole USA. Absolutely. That song came out in 1974. I remember it well. Donna Fargo.
Yeah. So when you find yourself singing that song, you're in a good place. Every once in a while, that song starts going through my brain.
Well, Carolyn, do I glow?
Yes.
I do?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, you glow, but I don't know about me, but I do. All right. I'll go by your test.
Yeah, Bobby glows.
Yeah, Bob, and Google happiest girl in the whole USA, 1972. I apologize. I was 11. But listen to the Donna Fargo song. Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
I'm going to play that.
Yeah, play it on your show.
I'm going to play that. Oh, it's going to be my new theme song.
Very good. That's excellent. All right, excellent. I think we have another caller here waiting patiently. Area code 310, the great state of California. You're on the line with Dr. Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, we're talking to you.
Oh, hi. Hi, Dr. Dean. This is Shireen. I've been on magnesium ReMag for the past a month or two. I'm pretty healthy. I consider myself healthy, and I'm really fascinated by the ReMag and all these things that you have come up with. And I wanted to know, when I mix the ReMag with, I just got my ReMag also. Mix it with the Himalayan salt.
Yes.
And also with a juice of a big lime. And I get very gassy, but without the lime, I really cannot handle it. I can't take it without that. So I don't know, why am I becoming so gassy? What does that tell you?
Well, how much lime are you using, Shireen?
1 full lime.
Too much. That's very much. Yeah. I mean, we're just talking about, I use a lemon juice concentrate. I use a 1/4 teaspoon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, because of the taste, it's very hard for me to, maybe I am.
Well, you just have to hold your nose and you have to hold your nose and drink it down. Or are you putting it in a whole liter of water with the 1/4 teaspoon of salt?
Whole liter? Maybe not a whole liter, but I just keep adding water to it. Or I'm thinking maybe I am dehydrated. I'm not taking enough water in the day.
Right,
Probably
and we have that guideline. You know the guideline, Shireen. You take your body weight in pounds, and you drink half of that in ounces. So, get your water intake and your salt going, and how much ReMag are you putting in your water at this time?
1 full teaspoon.
Okay. And did you start out with a 1/4 teaspoon and work up?
Yes, with half, actually. Right. No, not with a quart.
With a half.
I was so...
Well, I don't know.
And I have to tell you.
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just thinking, I had a lot of these lighting in my eyes before. I just realized I haven't been experiencing them anymore. Flashing, in the eye.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, what you have to, I don't know people's different taste sensitivities. I don't like the taste of ReMag. I'm not
I don't like
sipping
it either.
Right. I'm not sipping it through the day anymore. I'm okay with I take half to 1 teaspoon in a big glass of water and drink it down with swallowing my supplements. And then afterward I just drink some plain sea salted water, and that's fine. You really have to put up with a bit of the bitterness. It's not evil. It's not a drug. It's just a mineral that's so concentrated. So, again, I don't know if your sensitivity is severe. Some people have extra taste buds and they taste things really strongly, but I don't know what else to say to people. Just put in some of the lemon juice or lime, and you have to watch it when you're taking a lot of lime or lemon. It's very acidic, and it can irritate the stomach, and it can irritate your teeth too. You do not want to be eroding.
Because you said that, I keep washing my swishing with water after I take it, and then swallowing it down.
Right. And like you've said, you're pretty healthy, but then there are these things like your eye symptoms. There are a lot of things that people have that they don't even equate with magnesium deficiency. So,
yes, I know. I do have my aches and pains, and I really feel better now. I had I have arthritis. I just feel arthritis is creeping into my body, and I periodically detox myself. I'm always on essential oils. I detox my body. I very much believe in your homeopathy protocol that you're coming up with, because I was always with homeopathic drugs. Now I am mostly on essential oils. That's why they do not go with each other so well. But because, essential oils do tend to antidote the homeopathic remedies.
Yeah, they're so strong. Right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's
time
to go back.
Amazing.
They are, but rotate them. Take a time and just do homeopathy, and because the essential oils. I've certainly read about them and know about them, but they are very powerful, and the oily nature of them. I have heard about it kind of building up in the liver somewhat. So. I have that concern with them. Yes, yeah.
I didn't know that, because my mom is a diabetic of 40 years, and I have put her on some of these oils she puts in, and in a capsule every day. And her diabetes is, of course, she's on Remite and ReMag also, and she's feeling much better. I mean, I hope so, with her diabetes.
Of course. I mean, all these things are going to be helpful. I should clarify, I've heard that about massage therapists who use essential oils on their patients. So many times a day they're rubbing essential oils on their patients and getting them in their own hands and absorbing them.
Oh, so they absorb it. Yeah, maybe.
Right.
So. Mm-hmm.
Right.
No, but when I say that, it's just a minimal amount of every now and then and stuff like that. And also, I have another question, if I may. Yes. Can I go ahead? All right.
Yes, go ahead.
My husband has been on cholesterol pills, statins, and on baby aspirin for over 10 years. And I always bugged him, and I sent him videos and everything just to show him, please, you're killing yourself. Do not do this. Now, lo and behold, he has overgrowth of bones and stuff. He is having some kinds of, problems. And so I weaved him off the statins about 6-7 months ago. Little by little, and instead I gave him more probiotics and stuff. But so now he went back to the doctor, and he said that, his cholesterol is high because he was eating not very healthy. I mean, alcohol, occasional alcohol sometimes gets more than occasional. Mm-hmm. And so I couldn't persuade him to just get off of it, at least for a month, to give his body a break, but he wouldn't listen. So what happens is his cholesterol was high, according to the doctors, and so I am pretty sure they prescribed him with cholesterol pills. He doesn't bring it home anymore, or he hides it from me because he knows I eliminate them if they leave him.
Well, I don't know that you can. What can you do? I mean,
nothing really.
Encourage him if he would take the ReMag and ReMite and the coenzyme Q10, that pill to help antidote some of the side effects of the statins. I mean, most of the people who are on our products, they take them to wean off the statins. So I don't talk about the coenzyme Q10, but if he's determined to be on them, and, what is high cholesterol? They're trying to tell people to be under 200, but as I say many times, when I was in medical school, 245 or so was, quote, normal. And all the books now that are saying that cholesterol is not the cause of heart disease. It's a calcium.
Yeah. I know.
But
I study
that.
A lot.
Yeah,
I do study a lot with Dr. Mercola on your line. I mean, everywhere. I really grab a lot of information, but I think it's just good for me. I mean, it doesn't apply to my dear husband. I love him, and I want him to be staying alive and well. But, sometimes I think people have their own choices. I cannot just...
Right. You just, just pray for him, and that's that.
I have let go of him. I mean, of giving him and going after, but God should help. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Dean.
Okay. Thanks
I have a lot of more questions, and other times I will come in. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Great questions. Great questions, Carolyn.
Yes.
Yeah. Question.
I know when someone is trying to help a loved one and they won't listen, my gosh. I mean, that's one of the beauties of Bob. He listens to me. He takes whatever I tell him, whatever I feed him.
Man, I know nothing. I don't research anything. I know nothing. I just follow Dr. Dean's orders. I don't even understand why I'm taking it.
Very good. Very good. All right, so here's some questions from the chat line. I don't think we did this one. Renee typed in, I built up to 2 teaspoons of ReMag, 1.5 teaspoons of ReMite. But I have cramping occurring. The ReMite seems to have given me more energy and cognitive clarity. Can you comment on the cramping? I built up very slowly. I also do the salted water in 600 milliliters daily since August. plus 400 milliliters of coffee in the morning. Renee, what kind of cramping are you talking about, though, too? Before Carolyn talks about coffee, what kind of cramping are you speaking of? Coffee.
Right. Well, I mean, let me get 600 mils in ounces to see 20 ounces of water is not hydrating enough, seriously.
Yeah, that can't be right. Maybe she's talking,
Maybe it's just the putting the sea salt in. We want you to put the sea salt in every bit of water you drink. And 400 mils of coffee, then that's going to be 10 ounces. So, I mean, that's not horrible amount of coffee. It sounds a lot just because we're not used to mils. 400 mils is 13.5 ounces of coffee. So cut that back. Add heavy whipping cream to it for the fat content. But that's coffee is a diuretic, and I don't know that it seems to me it probably burns off magnesium because coffee is going to stimulate your adrenal glands, and when your adrenal glands are stimulated to give you that, quote, energy from coffee, then it's going to use up your magnesium. So that your 2 teaspoons of magnesium, maybe you could say at least a half a teaspoon is going towards your coffee, and drink half your body weight in ounces of water with a quarter teaspoon of sea salt in each liter, and that's going to help. And you're just not on enough magnesium to get rid of your cramping. You heard me earlier say I had to take 4 teaspoons for my cramp, so you're just not on enough.
She said she's definitely from Canada. She's got the leg cramps at night. You can put it directly into your skin too, Renee. You can just pour a little ReMag in your hand and massage it into your calves before you go to sleep so you can get the topical effect. If you need to do that. She says she doesn't get a buzz from coffee or caffeine. Okay, well, there you go. And
well, you know, my saying, the only way I take coffee is my coffee enemas. So I mean, what are you taking it for if you're not taking it for a buzz? I guess people just get addicted to the taste. Bob and I never got into coffee, and I'm so happy I didn't.
Yeah. Well, you can do decaf coffee and get the taste, because caffeine doesn't have any taste. So if you like that option. And as far as bulletproof coffee is concerned, if you're doing keto or whatever, like I don't do bulletproof coffee. I do what's called the London Grey, which is an Earl Grey tea, and I make that as a latte with the stuff in it, the MCT oil and things like that. So you don't have to do coffee to get the bulletproof effect in the morning. If you want to email me, Renee, I can share my recipe on that with you. Just support at rnareset.com. She said cramps seemed to get worse as I had more ReMag, and she also used it topically.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what we talk about under when magnesium makes me worse is when you're activating the 700, 800 enzyme systems in the body. It is going to cause a shift. But what we find is when we really question people about, well, what's worse? Is it longer duration? Is it different muscles? So there's always a shift. So shift happens. It really does. When you're starting something like this, you're asking your body to be better and healthier, but it doesn't always go that smoothly from having symptoms to having no symptoms. You're going to go through some sort of shifting, and just be patient with it. How long did Renee say? No, she didn't say how long she's been on the products. Did she, Ginney?
No, not yet. Yeah, Renee, let us know how long you've been on the products, too. Grant says the ReMag lotion works very fast for leg cramps. Charlie Horse is included. Yeah, ReMag lotion is great, too. And I know sometimes when I get cramps in my leg, it's because I don't have enough caffeine. I mean, calcium. I have to throw down a capful of Recalcia to get the cramps out of my knee and legs, and then because I pound the magnesium, so sometimes it's a little tweaking like that too. Okay, let's see. Let's go to some of these other questions I want to get in really quick. So there we are with Renee. We'll hang in there with you and finish it, though, Renee. No worries. Dave typed in, ReMag enabled me to completely get off my sleep medicine of 15 years, trying to get rid of brain fog now. I'm taking 1.5 teaspoons a day of ReMag, up to 4 teaspoons of ReMag. Should I increase my ReMite also? So he's 4 teaspoons of ReMag, 1.5 of ReMite, trying to get rid of brain fog.
Right. We usually say 2 to 1, so 4 of ReMag means 2 of ReMite to keep the balance. And brain fog. Have you looked at yeast overgrowth as a possibility with the brain fog? That would be the next thing. And then after that, I would think of Pico Silver in case there's some sort of, we use Pico Silver for yeast, but in case there's some sort of low-grade virus, there's the Pico Silver to boost the immune system.
He goes on, went to ACIM event in Orlando last month maybe, and met Drs. Mercola, Sheely, and Tennant. Absolutely amazing event. Wish you would have been there. Lots of talk about energy medicine. Are you familiar with Tennant's Healing is Voltage? Thinking is of seeing him for my newly diagnosed dry macular degeneration. Is energy medicine the future of medicine, or will Big Pharma FDA try to poo-poo it?
Well, I did talk about Tennant's work a little while ago. It'll be on the archives. You can go to drcarolyndeanlive.com, type in Tennant, Tennant. And what I said was he is talking about energy medicine and voltage, and he does mention electrolytes. He barely mentions magnesium. He's got $3,000 to $8,000 machines to zap you with energy, to give you energy. But let me tell you, you cannot manipulate energy in the body if you don't have magnesium. So this brilliant man, and by all accounts, Tennant is very brilliant, he's missing the basics. And I think, the most he talks about magnesium is using it as a bowel purge. So he's thinking like everybody else that magnesium is just a laxative and doesn't realize it's the most important electrolyte in the body, and it's required for the energy in your body. You cannot force energy. All these machines, I don't believe in them. I don't trust them, because when we say to people, do your ReMag, they say, oh, I don't need my energy machine anymore because I have energy, because I make it myself in my mitochondria. So there.
In your ATP?
In your mitochondria makes the ATP.
All right.
Jerry, so that was very good. Thank you, Dave. Hopefully you can find that blog. If you have trouble locating it, again, support at rnareset.com. And then Jerry typed in and said, any positive feedback from customers with glaucoma or cataracts who are using your awesome products?
Right. We have had cataracts. They are slight calcifications. Calcium plays a role in the creation of cataracts. So ReMag, I'm sure, would be more helpful to prevent cataracts than it would to treat them. Cataract surgery is pretty awesome these days. That's why I think was it Phyllis earlier. I said don't be fearful of a cataract surgery. They've come a long way, but of course it is surgery, etc. Glaucoma, that's high pressure in the eyes, and if there's the little rivulets coming off the eye, behind the eye, called trabeculi, and they can get a little bit clogged with crystals of calcium. So again, the magnesium is going to be helpful. Would never tell people to put ReMag in their eyes. We do tell people they put 1 drop of RNA reset drops in a little eye cup of saline and rinse their eyes. I've played with that, and one day I rinsed my eyes like every hour, and I had so much kind of discharge and whatnot from my eyes. It was irritating because so much was coming out. So I know it will detoxify eyes. I did do a blog on someone earlier might have mentioned about macula. Oh, yeah, Dave was saying going to Tendon about dry macular degeneration. I had a friend who had a macular hole, and I did a blog about that and about macular degeneration and just describing how the eye, it can get dehydrated. The eye needs minerals. The eye needs vitamin C. So I have it all laid out. You can go to a blog. I just found it called Treating Macular Degeneration and Macular Hole. And I think after that I did a blog about glaucoma. And exploring the vitreous humor, which is the portion of the eye that gets develops macular degeneration, it's made up of 99% water. So dehydration plays a big role in the shrinking of the macula. There's a network of collagen fibers, and our whey protein and restructure helps build collagen. Number 3, large molecules of hyaluronic acid, and hyaluronic acid is dependent upon magnesium for its synthesis. Number 4, there are peripheral cells, hyalurocytes, which need mineral building blocks from ReMag, ReMite, ReAline, Restructure, and RNA drops. Inorganic salts, especially magnesium chloride, but also ReMite and unrefined sea salt. Number 6, sugar is in the eye. This is another, these are all things in the eye. This is glucose that's broken down from our diet. Number 7, ascorbic acid. Take ascorbic acid and food-based vitamin C daily. So when you look at parts of the body in this way, when you look at their structure and you see what they're made of, and then you look at our building blocks, then you have your answers. I hear the outro music. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ginney, Bob, and Bill, and listeners.
Thank you, Ginney.
Thank you, everybody. Great show. Thank you, Carolyn.
You've been listening to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Till next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
AchieveRadio.com.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
All they're saying is that you got to get back to the only thing that ever worked anyway. And if you want to call that very simply, no dogma included, relax and allow and let it unfold, because that's what's happening anyway. Be easy about all this. Enjoy. Get happy in the skin you're in.
Okay.
Because if you can't, the only alternative is to transition and lay your body down.
Right.
AchieveRadio.com. The future is now.